Hey, yo, welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast, episode 5. Episode 5, y'all. Look, as I start every episode, I just want to say God is good, and I want to thank Him for waking me up this morning, allowing me to talk about sports, which is something that I love to do. And then without Him, I would not be here right now. But for today's episode, we're going to go over a wild week two. Wild week two. I'm talking, this might be one of the best week twos, probably the best week of football I've seen in a long time, y'all. This year will be a great year based off of what I saw week 1 and week 2. All right, and then secondly, I'm gonna preview Thursday night football game. My Steelers play the Browns in Cleveland. Okay, that pick will be with my mind, not with my heart. Okay, I'm looking at stats, I'm looking at visuals, I'm looking at what I see from both teams, and I'm picking that game. Don't think just 'cause I'm a Steelers fan, I'm gonna pick the Steelers. That's not what it is. Okay, I'm looking at both teams, looking at the strengths, weaknesses, and I'm going to pick the team that I believe will win. Okay, before we get today's episode started, I have a shout out that is far overdue to Houston, Texas. That's right, Houston, Texas. For those of y'all that know me, y'all know I don't even claim Houston, but right now, this is a proud moment to be in Houston, and here is why. Houston is the only pro sports city with an African American head coach in baseball, football, and basketball. We're talking about Dusty Baker, Lovey Smith, and Steven Silas is running all three major league sports in Houston. So I just want to give a shout out to Houston for that, for allowing 3 minority black coaches to be the face of y'all's teams. So that's a big step, honestly, especially in the world we live in. You know, it's not that many black head coaches in any sport, but the fact that y'all let all 3 of y'all major sports be ran by a black man means a lot to not only um, the black community, but I think it means a lot to sports, because sports can see that it's okay to have 3 black head coaches in all 3 major sports. So I want to give a shout out to Houston for that. All right, and now let's get into week 2. Look, y'all ever heard the phrase "any given Sunday"? Okay, I'm pretty sure y'all have heard it. Most of y'all have heard that phrase, "any given Sunday." I actually went to look up the actual definition, so I know what it means, right? It means any given Sunday, any team can win. That's something my dad used to tell me all the time when we grew up watching football on Sundays. He used to always look at me and say, "Jalen, any given Sunday, when we would lose to the Jets or Jacksonville or something like that, he would always say, any given Sunday." But it never really hit me till this past weekend, right? So I went and I looked up the actual definition to give to y'all. The term is a shortened version of any given Sunday. Any team can beat any other team. So the real phrase is, on any given Sunday, any team can beat another team. All right, but the meaning is, just because a team is favored to win, this doesn't mean that the underdog doesn't have a chance of victory. Okay, that happened so many times this past weekend. Not even just in that in that view of an underdog, right? We saw teams make huge comebacks in the fourth quarter this weekend. So any given Sunday, anything is bound to happen. And I'm gonna use any given Sunday as an excuse to why I went 6-10 this week in my picks. Last week I went 5-10 because of the tie. The Colts tie last week, they didn't count that, so I did go 5-10. But this week I did go 6-10. Okay, so I'm going to use the any given Sunday to back me up to why I went 6-10. If the same teams week 2 played in week 3, I would still pick who I picked in week 2. So I have no shame in my game. I went 6-10. It is what it is. This year is crazy in football. It's so hard to make predictions. Better yet, even name a Super Bowl champ. Okay, so before I dissect a couple games, I want to let y'all know my Super Bowl pick, the 49ers, lost Trey Lance. So I feel like y'all should give me another chance, give me another team due to circumstance to pick to go to the Super Bowl. Do the 49ers still have a good chance? Yeah, they got a good chance. They had a good chance last year with Jimmy G, right? They got Jimmy G back this year. But I think that kind of affects how I look at them a little bit. I think they're back to being limited, okay? So I'll talk about that on Friday. I'm not going to talk about that today, but I feel like y'all should give me a second chance at that, all right? So let's go ahead and get into it. First game, I'm going to go 5 games, of course, like I did last week. I'm choosing 5 games that I really liked or really enjoyed, or 5 important games. The first game I'm going to pick is the Cowboys and Bengals. So those of y'all that watched the show last week, y'all saw that I didn't dog the Cowboys, right? But I told y'all that I was right. When I put them in the question mark section of my pyramid, it was for a reason. And y'all showed that reason last week. But this past weekend, Y'all beat the Bengals, okay? The Bengals won the AFC last year. Okay, so I was happy when my Steelers beat the Bengals because we beat the former AFC champs. Okay, no matter how we beat them. So it meant a lot. Y'all beat them, so it's gonna mean a lot for y'all. Okay, so bravo. Hey, I'm giving y'all a round of applause. Good job, Cowboys. But do not get delusional. Okay, do not get delusional. Okay, this game, y'all won 2017. Cooper Rush, who's stepping in for Dak Prescott. Okay, went 19 for 31, 235 yards and a touchdown. That's an average game. But because he's a backup, that's a great game, honestly. From a backup, that's a great game. Don't get carried away. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to come back to that point. Do not get carried away. Because there's a couple things that I'm looking at through the Cowboys organization. And it's raising more question marks. And I'm going to tell y'all in a minute. But right now, CeeDee Lamb, y'all number one receiver, right, quote unquote, was 7 catches for 75 yards. That was better than what he did with Dak Prescott. I'm gonna come back around to that statement in a little bit, okay? Noah Brown coming out the woodworks. I don't even know who this dude is, but last week he had a good game, and this week he caught 5 catches on 5 targets for 91 yards and a touchdown. Okay, so Noah Brown, yeah, I can make an argument that he's really y'all number one receiver. Or people gonna say, okay, everybody paying attention to CeeDee Lamb, so the number 2 receiver gonna eat. Nah, that's not how it always works. That's not how it always works. The number one receiver will always find a way to impact the game, make big plays. And CeeDee had a pretty good game. 7 catches, 75 yards, not bad. But what I'm saying is, don't always use the excuse as CeeDee getting looked at so much that Noah Brown's open. That's not the case, because every number one receiver wouldn't have good games if that was the case. They still find ways to get the job done. All right, so Noah Brown definitely stepping up big for y'all. Y'all was up 17-3 in the first half. All right. I think this game is more about the Bengals than it is about y'all. I'm going to tell you why. Okay. My Steelers, last week, we had 7 sacks against the Bengals. Okay. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to blame the Bengals online yet. It's still week 1. It's still early. We have an elite front, right? TJ Watt was playing. Cameron Hayward, Alex Highsmith. We have a good pass rush. We have a good defense, all right? The Bengals only had 84 yards in the first half. All right, that's cool. That's bad. Really is bad for them, for that caliber of an offense. But it all comes back to the O-line. They allowed 6 sacks. So 7 sacks the first week, 6 sacks the second week. That's 13 sacks. That's 13 sacks in the first 2 games. Okay, in the Bengals division, right, Joe Burrow was sacked 13 times. All other 3 teams combined, so the Ravens, the Browns, and Steelers, only been sacked 8 times compared to the Bengals been sacked 13 times. That's not a good look at all. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, Joe Burrow been sacked 83 times. 83 times since the beginning of last season. Y'all, that's not good. It's not good, not just for winning purposes, but it's not good for future purposes, right? This is your franchise quarterback. I don't think a quarterback can take a beating like that. Okay, look at Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck ended his career early due to taking beatings in the backfield. So Joe Burrow might follow that same route if they don't get this line together. All right, they allowed 10 plus pressures in both games. In the Steelers game and the Cowboys game, they allowed 10 or more pressures to Joe Burrow. So it all comes down to this O-line. Right, I think the Bengals are a better team than the Cowboys, but if you can't block up front and you got Michael Parsons on the other side, which is the only certified stud on the Cowboys. The only player that I'm gonna give high praises to, Michael Parsons, he had 2 sacks. Right, that you're not gonna win like that, especially when you can't protect your quarterback. So I think that game was way more about the Bengals not being able to protect Joe Burrow versus the Cowboys. Because like I said, y'all was up 17-3 in the first half, and then the Bengals came back and tied the game. Made it 17-17. Then y'all had that last drive. Cooper Rush drove down the field. Y'all got the field goal. So they only allowed 3 points in the second half. And their offense came back up. So they kind of figured it out, right? But still, with Joe Burrow getting pressure throughout the game, it's not going to work. The Bengals need to fix this O-line ASAP. They're 0-2. Okay, so 7 teams started 0-2 last year and missed the playoffs. I don't believe they're out the mix yet. I'm not going to say that. It's still early. Okay, it's still early. It's week 2. Right, I'm not going to sit here and say teams are done until about week 6, week 5. That's when I really know who you are. So 0-2 start, I'm not saying they're out the mix. I'm still worried about them. That's my division. So I'm still a fan. That's my division. The Bengals are in my division. So I'm worried about the Bengals still, whether or not they 0-2. I'm still worried about them, so I'm not going to say they're out the mix yet, but they got to get that O-line fixed. Cowboys, don't get too excited. Okay, but let me ask y'all a question real quick. Hypothetically speaking, if Cooper Rush come in here, right, and let's just say Dak missed 5 games, okay, and Cooper Rush go 5-0, who's y'all starting quarterback when Dak gets healthy? I really want y'all to think about that. Who's y'all starting quarterback? Because y'all saw how the team looked in week 1 with Dak, right? So if Cooper Rush come in here and go 5-0, who's y'all quarterback? That's the question I need y'all to. It's not, first of all, it's not going to happen. Y'all not going 5-0 with Cooper Rush. I don't care. It's not going to happen. But if it did happen, would y'all keep Dak? Or would y'all go with Cooper Rush? If you're a Cowboys fan, I want you to really think about that. Because honestly, I told y'all, Dak Prescott's average to me. Average to below average. Okay, and Cooper Rush come in and uplift this team. This team looked different than it did week 1. Yes, you're playing the Bengals and you played the Bucks. I understand that. But it just looked different. Just watching it. Y'all moved the ball, got down the field, put up touchdowns, right? You only scored 3 points in the first game. Put up points on the board. Your passing game looked okay, right? I don't think it's enough moving forward. But at the same time, it got y'all to win. Okay, so something y'all need to think about. If Cooper Rush was to go 5-0, which he's not, will he be the starting quarterback when Dak comes back? I think that's a question that y'all need to ask yourselves. It's not going to happen, so don't worry about it. So I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, if that was to happen, would y'all want Cooper Rush still starting over Dak? So Cowboys got the W. Do not get ahead of yourselves. Don't do it. Don't come back saying, J-Best, you was wrong. J-Best, you was wrong. It's week 2. Y'all 1-1. Week 2, calm down. Week 2. All right, the next game. This game, man, Dolphins and Ravens. The Dolphins won this game 42-38. So for those of y'all that didn't see the game, y'all sitting there, y'all thinking, man, that was a shootout. Man, that was a shootout. Their defenses look bad. No. That's not what happened. All right, Tua. This is, you know what? Before I talk about this game, y'all making me mad. Some people making me real mad. Some people texting me saying Tua is him. Okay, for those of y'all that don't know what him means, him is H-I-M. Him is like, you're great. Like, you're that guy. You know, and people are texting me after one game that Tua is him. I'm getting tired of it. I told y'all beginning of the season, this team was making the right moves, but they're not ready to win yet because of Tua. One game is not going to change my mind about a quarterback, about any player for that matter. It's not going to happen. You cannot have one good game and that define who you are. I don't like that. I really don't, because Joe Burrow had a terrible game week 1. We're not saying he's garbage. No. So if Tua has one good game, right, we're not going to overreact and say that he's the franchise guy or he's the great quarterback, because he's not. I need to see this over a span, not these exact stats. He went 36 for 50, right? 36 on 50 attempts. And he had 469 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Okay, I don't need to see that stat line throughout the rest of the year, but I need to see consistency. I need to see that you can get the job done, right? One game is not going to change my mind. I don't care who you are. That's just how I feel about sports. One game cannot. And this is when hype trains come in, right? Hype trains. And this is what the media, sports media, analysts, they love to hop on hype trains. I hate it, because a player would get to do good for 3 weeks straight. And y'all say, oh, he's the best in the league. Then you don't hear from him the rest of the season, and y'all act like that never happened. No, it happened. Y'all said that he was great. So people that's telling me that Tua is him, remember what y'all are saying right now. Remember how y'all are hyping this man up, because I promise you, it would not look like this down the line. I promise you that. All right, I put my whole credibility on that. Tua is not that guy. But he did have a good game. So let's talk about the game that he had. 4 touchdowns and 189 yards came in the fourth quarter. Okay? Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Some people saying the best receiver duo in the league right now. It's too early. Slow your roll. They did have 2 good games back to back, but this game they combined for 361 yards and 4 touchdowns. That is dominance. It's dominant. I'm not gonna lie. It's very dominant. But these are one of them games where I tell, like the Cowboys game, it's more about the team that lost than the team that won. And I'm gonna tell you why in a little bit. Tyreek Hill, okay, in the fourth quarter. What is the one thing that Tyreek Hill does that nobody else can do? Right? How fast he is. Nobody is as fast as Tyreek Hill, okay? But the 2 touchdowns he scored in the fourth quarter in a span of 2 minutes and 28 seconds. So he scored twice in the fourth quarter in 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Okay? So this is 0-0-0. This is 2 minutes and 28 seconds. He scored twice in that span. Okay? And it was a 48-yard touchdown and a 60-yard touchdown. For those of y'all that watched the game, he ran past the defense Literally, like both touchdowns was deep passes, and he ran past the defense. Like you can't have mental lapses when you're playing Tyreek Hill. That's on the defense. I don't care who that is. And through two open guys. The first touchdown was underthrown. It was underthrown. Tyreek Hill had to slow down for the ball, right? And then he still was able to catch it because he was just that far ahead of the defense. So he was underthrown the first time, which shows Tua's inaccuracy. And the next time he was just wide open. Like Tua was making these passes that no, I'm not trying to hype myself up, but I can make them passes. If my player's running by himself down the field, I can throw that ball easily. So that's on the defense, in my opinion. It's not about the greatness of Tua or the greatness of Tyreek Hill. It's about the defense. How are you letting this guy, fastest guy in the league, just run past you? Okay, not only am I blaming the Ravens defense, but I'm blaming Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had a great game. A great game, quarters 1 through 3. Okay, Lamar Jackson with 21 for 29, 318 passing yards with 3 touchdowns. He had 9 carries for 119 yards. 79 of them yards came on a touchdown. So he ran a touchdown for 79 yards. I've said it since day one. Do not let Lamar Jackson pull the ball on the option. Simple as that. It better be a QB design play. Do not let him pull that ball and run because he's going to hurt you every time. He's that gifted running the ball. He's a very athletic guy. I would give him all the praises in the world for that. Top 5 running back in the league, in my opinion. But they got outscored 28-3 in the fourth quarter. 28-3. They was up 35-14 in the fourth quarter. I'm talking fourth quarter start, 15 minutes left in the game. They're up 35-14. How do you lose that game? It takes 2 to tango, y'all. The defense couldn't get a stop. The defense was tripping. They was having mental lapses, letting Tyreek Hill just run down the field. The defense played bad. But at the same time, I need my franchise guy. That guy that y'all talk about all the time to finish out the game. I need that. In the fourth quarter, in the 3 possessions that he had the ball, okay, they ended up going for it on the 4th and 1. He ran the ball. They didn't get it. Which gave the Dolphins good field position. They went and scored. And then the next possession, they had the punt. Dolphins went and scored, which tied the game. And then Lamar came down the field, only put up a field goal, and the Dolphins drove down the field, scored a touchdown to win the game. Lamar, I need you to put the game away. It's simple as that. You had a great game going up to that. Almost a perfect game, honestly. 318 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 9 carries for 119 yards and a touchdown. We had a perfect game up until the fourth quarter. You got to finish that game out. Not only does my defense have to make stops, right? The defense got to stop. They can't let you score. You can't score 28 points in the fourth quarter. That's just bad defense. That's why I think it's more about the Ravens losing than the Dolphins winning, because your defense played bad in the fourth quarter, and Lamar Jackson did not close it. You got to close the game out. That's all I'm saying. And if anybody goes against that, then you are not being real, because a quarterback has got to finish the job. You got to get the job done. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. We've heard that for the longest. Okay, so Lamar, you had a great game until the fourth quarter. You can't have 3 possessions and only get 3 points. That can't happen, especially when you see a team starting to rally back. You got to put that nail in the coffin if you're that guy. Brady would have did it. A-Rod would have did it. Mahomes would have did it. But that's why I don't think Lamar's at that level yet, because he could not get the job done. So this game is, I'm gonna say 70% on the defense, 30% on Lamar. How about that? That should make y'all feel better. So I'm not just attacking Lamar. It's 70 on him, 30 on the defense, because you got to finish that game, especially with the game you was having. Right in the beginning, you was getting whatever you wanted to. You was running the ball, passing the ball, but in the fourth quarter, you could not get any of that done. So I'm blaming that game on defense and Lamar. So that's more about the Ravens collapsing, literally collapsing, versus the Dolphins winning that game. So don't ride the Dolphins hype train either. That's another train about to take off from the station. Look, the hype train gonna be real busy this year. I promise you that. They're going to leave the station about 50 times. And they're going to come back with nobody on because everybody hopped off because the hype train not real. It is not real. The Dolphins are not real. Do not hop on that hype train. I'm begging y'all. They are not going to the playoffs. I stamped that. Stamped it. I don't think this team going to the playoffs. Simple as that. Because of the quarterback. Because of Tua. One good game does not define you. All right, next, Cardinals and Raiders. Okay, I'm gonna say my Raiders because I picked them to go Super Bowl. So my Raiders lost 29-23 in overtime. This is the game. Once again, it's about the team that collapsed versus the team that came back and won the game. The Raiders was up 20-0 at halftime. Okay, the team I chose to go to Super Bowl was up 20-0 at halftime, cruising through the Cardinals. They got outscored 23-3 in the second half. They only scored a field goal. That's a problem. It's a problem because I've been praising this offense all year long, well, all off season long. Right now, you got Devontae Adams, you got Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs. That's a great skill position group, and you only scored 3 points in the second half. That cannot happen. Okay, last week I said that Derek Carr force fed Devontae. This week it was different. This week Derek Carr threw to 7 different targets. Okay, with 25 to 39, 252 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a good game. That's a good game. Devontae Adams only had 2 catches for 12 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, I didn't say just avoid Devontae, right? I just said spread the ball out a little bit more. But Devontae did get double teamed the whole second half. Like they took Devontae out the game. So that's when Hunter and Darren got to eat, or Josh Jacobs, somebody got to eat. Okay, but they did not. Now Bucky Brooks, who's he's a reporter in the league, he actually wrote an article on the Raiders this game, and he said, and this is why I'm still confident in the Raiders. I'm not worried about it. It's week 2. It's still early. They're 0-2, right? I told y'all 7 teams went 0-2 last year. Did not make the playoffs. I believe the Raiders will beat that narrative because Bucky Brooks even said, he's very credible. He said, with more time and repetitions to improve the chemistry and execution, the Raiders' offense has the potential to emerge as an unstoppable force as a diverse aerial attack, which is what I raved on with the offseason coming into this season. This offense is going to be dynamic. Now, it's going to take a couple weeks for them to click, right? It's a brand new coach, brand new scheme, right? You got a brand new number 1 receiver. It's going to take a little bit of time. But time is ticking now. I'm not going to panic on them yet, but they do got to start winning games. These last 2 games, I think they lost. Derek Carr threw 3 interceptions the first game. They lost 19-24 to the Chargers. Chargers are a Super Bowl contender. Okay, so you lost to that team throwing 3 interceptions. You lost by 1 possession. Then this game, you gave up a 20-point lead. Okay, you lost both of those games. That's why I'm okay with it. You're losing to yourself. So that shows you that they're good enough to win games, but they're just beating themselves and not getting beat by anybody. So them being top team in this league so far, I'm right because they have not got outright beaten by anybody. Okay, the defense now, Bucky Brooks did say that the pass rush didn't get pressure. They only had 1 sack for 5 QB hits. I'm talking about Chandler Jones and Max Crosby. I don't care about the defense. This is strictly about the offense not putting up points in the second half. And Josh McDaniels, their new head coach, even came out and said, we have to learn to play aggressively with a lead. There's an art to learning how to finish a game the right way against an opponent who's going to apply some pressure to get back into it. It is what it is. What's going to happen in every game that you get a lead in. So Josh McDaniels is admitting, look, we got to play aggressive with the lead. Simple as that. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that because I believe this Raiders team is good enough to be able to bounce back. Like I said, he did spread the ball around. 7 catches for Hunter Renfrow, 6 catches for Darren Waller, and then 2 catches for Devontae. You got to be able to get the ball to Devontae a little more than that. Even when he's getting double team, somebody else got to eat, or Devontae still got to get open. Simple as that. Hunter Renfrow had 2 fumbles in overtime. Right, so that's the legit definition of losing this game. You choked a 20-point lead, and your receiver fumbled twice in overtime. One of them they recovered back, but one of them he lost, and that's the one that the Cardinals picked up and scooped and scored for the touchdown. So the Raiders defense actually got to stop in overtime. I think the Cardinals got the ball first, and the Raiders got it back, and then the Raiders went down, fumbled. Cardinals picked up, ran to the crib. So the Raiders lost that game. I'm not panicking, not worried about it. 0-2. They will bounce back as soon as they get, like Bucky Brooks said, more time or repetition. The chemistry will grow. So Raider Nation, do not panic. Y'all will be just fine. Okay, the Cardinals won that game 29-23 in overtime. The Bucks and the Saints. Look, this game, if y'all didn't watch it, I know y'all saw that fight. Between Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore. Look, they have a history going against each other, or fighting against each other back in 2017. So for it to happen again, I'm not surprised at all. All right, but I do want to know what Brady said. I want to know what Brady said to Marshawn Lattimore. That's what I want to know. I want to know if he said something racial. I don't know what he said. Whatever he said ticked off Marshawn. Marshawn got in the face of Brady. Mike Evans, I defend Mike Evans only because that's my quarterback. Simple as that. That's my quarterback. You get in the face of my quarterback, I'm coming to put my hands on you. Simple as that. He didn't have to go to that extent, right? He didn't have to come and just shove the man like that. But at the same time, protecting his quarterback, I love it. I like the respect. I appreciate it. Especially as a former quarterback, I like seeing people take care of their quarterbacks because that's what it's all about. Your franchise guy, which is Brady. All right, the Bucks won 20-10. This game, well, but first let me tell you how Brady went 18 for 34, 190 yards, 1 touchdown. They couldn't get anything going. The Saints defense was shutting down Brady as normal. Okay, Leonard Fournette had 24 carries for 65 yards, so the offense wasn't doing anything. All right, but the defense. The Bucks defense had a historic game. They had 6 sacks and 5 turnovers. The fourth game in team history with 6 or more sacks, 5 or more turnovers. Okay, so Todd Bowles and that defense, they are very nice. And that's why, so last week, they let the Cowboys only score 3 points. This week, they only allowed 10 points. So they allowed 13 points in the first 2 games, which is the third fewest they've allowed in team history. Okay, this Todd Bowles defense is legit. Todd Bowles, much respect. But as I said, I think this is more about the Saints than it was more about Jameis. Honestly, I told y'all coming into the season, the Saints are a playoff contender, but they're only going as far as Jameis take them. Simple as that. Jameis is not a great elite quarterback. He's not even top 10, maybe not even top 15, right? But he has the arm and he has the weapons around him to be successful. It's all about his mind. It's all about his decision making. Okay, he threw 3 interceptions. That can't happen, and one of them got returned for a touchdown. So you lost 20 to 10, right? 7 of those points came off a pick 6. So really, we're looking at 10 to 13. Right, so Jameis literally threw this game away with 3 interceptions. Jameis was 25 of 40, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 1 got returned for a touchdown. So this team is only going as far as Jameis take them. In games like this, when Jameis don't make the right decisions, throw 3 interceptions. I talked to a couple Saints fans. They said he was overthrowing people. He had a bad game all the way around. They said this is his first bad game as a Saint. So this game is only going as far. This team, is only going as far as Jameis Winston takes them. They have the weapons. The only bright side of this game that you can look at as a Saints fan that you didn't have Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara did not play. Okay, so that's one thing you can say. Okay, we had Alvin Kamara, things would have been a little different, right? The pressure wouldn't always be on Jameis, because when you have a running back like that in the backfield, you got to kind of take your eyes off Jameis a little bit and look at AK. So that changes the whole game plan, changes everything. So them not having AK did affect this game, but Jameis cannot throw games away like this. Simple as that. This team is going as far as he takes them. I said it in the beginning, and this game proved it. The defense played good, right? But he threw 3 interceptions. 1 ran back for a touchdown. He threw the game away. That cannot happen. So the Bucks won 20 to 10. That was more about the Saints losing than the Bucks winning. The Packers. People panicking last week. Packers and Bears. People panicked last week, saying, "Oh my God, the Packers don't have a team. They don't have receivers." Simple as that. Lost to the Vikings. They don't have receivers. They don't have anybody. Aaron Rodgers don't have anybody to throw the ball to. They're going to struggle this year. And what I say, run the ball, right, until Aaron Rodgers get that chemistry with his receivers. Simple as that. Just run the ball for now. Let your two-headed monster eat. And then Aaron Rodgers will gradually get chemistry with his receivers. Okay, Aaron Rodgers went 19. They won 27-10, sorry. They beat the Bears. Aaron Rodgers went 19 for 25. 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not a great game for Aaron Rodgers. Looking at Aaron Rodgers is not a great game, right? For any average quarterback, that's a great game. But for Aaron Rodgers, that's just another game in my opinion. I've seen him do better. But I think the great Aaron Rodgers, the 300-yard games, the 400-yard games, I think that's gone. At least for right now, because I think this team will focus more on the run and depend on their defense to win games versus letting Aaron Rodgers throw so much and letting him throw 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think that Aaron Rodgers is gone temporarily only because they're trying to win games, and the best way to win is running the ball until Aaron Rodgers get that chemistry with his receivers. Aaron Jones, 15 carries, 132 yards, and a touchdown. A.J. Dillon, 18 carries, 61 yards. As a whole team, so Aaron Rodgers also ran a couple times. They had 203 rushing yards. That is perfect. That is beyond perfect. That is the numbers that this team might put up, not weekly, but they're going to put this up a lot because they have 2 great running backs. Well, not great running backs, but they have a great running back duo. Probably the best running back duo in the league. And then you have a good O-line. You're going to be able to run the ball like that. All right, they had more rushing yards than the Bears had passing yards. Right? They had more rushing yards than the Bears had rushing yards. So you dominate them on the ground. That's going to happen every time. I love this two-headed monster. Rely on it. Run through them. Matt LaFleur even said last week, the head coach, the Packers head coach said, we got to run the ball more. I got a hand. I started throwing the ball too much. We got to run the ball more. Yeah, J-Best said that too. And guess what? You're in a winning game 27-10 against a Bears team coming off of beating the 49ers. They thought they can get another upset, but no. You ran the ball good. Great job. And Aaron Rodgers was able to use the run to create the pass. But the Bears, now I told y'all this year, I'm looking at Justin Fields. I'm looking at Justin Fields and I'm saying, look, just show me you're consistent. Just show me you're a franchise QB. Week 1, he did that. This week, not so much. He had 70 passing yards. That's not going to cut it. Simple as that. It's not going to cut it. You're playing a great Packers defense, but at the same time, you got to find a way to make something work, right? Something's going to be open. They can't stop everything. They're going to give you something. Use it, abuse it, and get down the field versus only having 70 passing yards. But they did have 180 rushing yards. Justin Fields attributed to that, but David Montgomery, their running back, had 15 carries for 122 yards. Okay, that's a great game. But you can't win whenever you're losing. So they was losing 24-3 at halftime. You still running the ball. That's not going to be able to get you back in the game. So they need to get the passing game going. Justin Fields, that's one bad game. He'll be just fine. Just show me you're consistent. I'm not looking for wins. I'm looking for you to be consistent. Okay? But that's all I got for my recap of week 2. I picked 5 good games, and those 5 games, or 5 important games, I just broke them down. And now the Thursday night preview between the Steelers and the Browns. Okay? Look. Both teams lost this past weekend. My Steelers lost to the Patriots 14-17. Okay, the Browns lost 30-31 to the Jets. Jets. They lost. They was up 30-17 with 1:55 seconds left. Some of y'all thinking, man, how did that happen? They got an onside kick. They scored. They got the ball. They scored. They got the onside kick back and scored again. Jets became the first team in 21 years to overcome a 13-point deficit in the last 2 minutes. Browns did the ultimate choke. Okay, they choked. Simple as that. I'm looking at this game, and as a Steelers fan, I'm like, okay. Defensively, we're still good. Even without TJ Watt, last week we didn't get any pressure on Mac Jones. That's not the reason why we lost, but that can contribute to it. We got no pressure on Mac Jones. We had 0 sacks. We had 7 sacks week 1, 0 sacks this week. Well, this past week, right? And it has a lot to do with TJ Watt being gone. So I told my family, I told friends, I said, look, give Mike Tomlin and Brian Flores time to get this defense right, to be able to create pressure without TJ Watt. We got to adjust to living without him at the moment until he gets back. So I'm not going to judge him off of one game on, we can't get pressure without TJ Watt. That's not the narrative yet. If we can't get pressure on Thursday, then we can start saying it. But still, give this defense time to adjust and be able to create pressure without TJ Watt. Also, offensively, we got to get it. We got to get it together. As simple as that. We're not even throwing the ball down the field. We're not making passes over 20 yards. That's a problem. The first week, I tried to defend our offensive coordinator and Mr. Trubisky. I tried to defend him and said, look, we was up 17-3 against the Bengals. We know who the Bengals are. They're a good team. We're trying to hold the lead. Simple as that. We're not trying to turn the ball over, taking care of the ball. We're playing not to lose versus playing to win. Playing conservative versus playing aggressive. I can't defend you this time because you played a Patriots team who was held. Honestly, they was held to what? 14 points really. Defensively, we held them to 14 points. Offensively, y'all gotta help us out, right? It's not a one-sided thing. This is no longer the early 2000s and the 90s where you can just have a great defense and be able to win games. That's not going to happen anymore, only because offenses are more dynamic now. They're going to figure out ways to score. It's not just running the ball. Now it's passing the ball. Anything can happen. Tip balls, anything, right? You can't hold a team for the whole game, in my opinion, unless it is bad or unless your defense is great. And right now we're missing a great player, so we can't play defense for 4 quarters like we used to with TJ Watt. We can't. So we need the offense to help. Be aggressive. Okay, if you watch the Steelers, one thing that I see a lot is that we're always facing 3rd and 4, 3rd and 2. You know why? Because 1st and 2nd down, we either run the ball or we throw a dump off. Short pass, run the ball, which creates 3rd and 4. Now we have one play to get it right. Versus take a shot down the field. Okay, then run the ball. Then 3rd down, take a shot down the field. Just try different things, okay? Where a lot of Steelers fans are chanting to fire our offensive coordinator. It's too early, right? He better get it together by week 4, week 5. And then I will support that cause. But right now, I'm not going to support it. Get it together. Get the play calling right. Take more shots down the field. As simple as that. People chanting Kenny Pickett to get in. But if Kenny Pickett get in, we're still calling the same plays. Nothing's going to change. Okay, it's not necessarily Mitch Trubisky's fault. It is definitely our offensive coordinator's fault. Browns are going to run the ball. As simple as that. Jacoby Brissett is not good enough to win the game by himself, so he's going to run. We're going to run the ball simply. So our run defense has to be ready because Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are coming. Okay, the defense is missing Jadeveon Clowney, so that's one player that we have to worry about pass rush wise. But they do have Myles Garrett, who some compare to T.J. Watt. So they have Myles Garrett. We got to be able to slow him down. At the same time, be able to get shots down the field. I believe this game is very winnable. That's why I'm picking my Steelers to win in Cleveland. I think this is the game our offense will finally get it together. Right, Mr. Trubisky came out and said, "I gotta get the ball to my playmakers." Right, a lot of players that came out and said the play calling is a little off. Right, we're calling you out, OC. Matt Canada, our offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. We're calling you out. Simple as that. You got to show up on Thursday. Show up and show out. The Browns are not that great of a team. Okay, just collapse to the Jets. All right, they barely beat the Panthers week 1. We can beat this team. Simple as that. So I'm going with the Steelers. Let's go Steelers. Steeler Nation. We got this game Thursday night. Make sure y'all are there on Amazon Prime. Only Amazon Prime. So if you ain't got it, go get it. That's the only way you're going to see the game. Look, I wish I could go over every game in week 2. But unfortunately, time is permitting that, okay? But I got my week 2 recap. I got my Thursday night preview. I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers, y'all. I will wave my towel, but I ain't got it on me right now. I'm going with my Steelers. All right. So I will see y'all again on Friday, y'all. On Friday, I will see y'all. Watch the game Thursday night. Y'all stay blessed, and I will see y'all on Friday. I'm out.